1. We've got a real gem on our hands, a 1984 Buick LeSabre Limited two-door coupe, and let me tell you, this beauty is a rare find. First off, let's talk about that engine. It's got a 307 5.0 cast iron block V8, paired with an automatic transmission, and it purrs like a kitten. With only 58K miles on the odometer, this car has been well maintained and comes with a full history, including receipts, the original bill of sale from the dealership, the window sticker, and even a Carfax report. You can rest assured that this LeSabre has been treated with the utmost care. Now let's move on to the interior. It's in outstanding condition, with no mysterious stains, odors, cracks, or tears. The steering wheel is perfect, and the upper faux wood parts of the door panels are in such great shape, you'd think this car was only 2 or 3 years old. Even the original floor mats are still intact. The seller has made some impressive updates in the last 2 years, including a new transmission, complete exhaust system, AC conversion, and tires. And here's a fun fact. This car originally hails from Ohio, where it was rust-proofed underneath. While they apparently didn't do the drive shafts, the upside is that there's no Texas sun damage to the dash, steering wheel, or interior. Everything in this LeSabre functions properly, from the power locks and seat to the power antenna, cruise control, and stereo. The air conditioning blows cold, although sometimes it comes out of the floor vent, but trust me, it's plenty cold enough to keep you comfortable on those hot summer days. Now let's talk price. The seller is asking $14,300 plus tax, title, and license if you're buying in Texas. And get this, they accept credit cards and don't charge any sneaky inventory or document fees. The seller is a straight shooter, and you can tell they're passionate about this car. If you're not local, no worries. The seller even suggests flying in and driving this beauty home. They recommend checking out southwest.com for cheap wanna-get-away fares to Dallas Love Field, and they'll even pick you up from the airport. All in all, this 1984 Buick LeSabre Limited two-door coupe is a rare find and a true gem. With its well-maintained engine, outstanding interior, and recent updates, it's clear that this car has been loved and cared for. If you're in the market for a classic ride with plenty of character, this LeSabre is definitely worth checking out. 2. We've got a real treat for you, a 1964 Ford Thunderbird with the powerful 390 FE engine. And let me tell you, this beauty has got some serious potential. First things first, let's talk about the work that's been done on this T-Bird. The seller mentions that a lot of effort has gone into getting this classic ready for the road, and it shows. They even drove it all the way from Superior, Nebraska to Omaha, where it currently resides. That's a testament to the car's reliability and the seller's confidence in its performance. Now let's take a closer look at the interior. The seller describes it as super clean, which is always a plus when you're dealing with a car that's over half a century old. However, they do mention that the carpet will need to be replaced, so keep that in mind if you're planning on giving this T-Bird a full restoration. Moving on to the trunk, the seller is upfront about the fact that while it's solid, it does have some rust. This is pretty common in classic cars, and it's definitely something that can be addressed with some elbow grease and the right tools. The good news is that the gauges and radio are in working order, although the radio does need an antenna and speaker. The tires are also a couple of years old, so you won't have to worry about replacing them right away. One thing to note is that the odometer is broken, so it's hard to say exactly how many miles this T-Bird has under its belt. However, given the work that's been done and the fact that it was driven across the state, it's clear that this car has been well maintained and cared for. The seller also mentions that they have some extra parts, fender skirts, and hubcaps that will come with the car. This is always a bonus when you're dealing with a classic, as finding original parts can be a challenge. Now let's talk price. The seller is asking $5,000 or best offer for this 1964 Ford Thunderbird. Considering the work that's been done, the overall condition of the car, and the included extras, this seems like a fair price for a classic of this caliber. The seller does mention that they're ready for a different project, which is why they're letting this beauty go. This could be a great opportunity for someone who's been looking for a vintage T-Bird to take on as a restoration project, or simply enjoy as a weekend cruiser. All in all, this 1964 Ford Thunderbird with the 390 FE engine is a solid classic with plenty of potential. While it does have some minor issues that need to be addressed, like the carpet and trunk rust, The overall condition of the car is impressive. If you're in the market for a vintage T-Bird, this one is definitely worth checking out. 3. We're diving into the world of classic American muscle with this 1974 Chevrolet Corvette, and let me tell you, it's a beast waiting to be unleashed. Under the hood, you'll find a powerful 350 V8 engine that's ready to roar to life at a moment's notice. The seller mentions that it starts right up, which is always a good sign when you're dealing with a car that's almost 50 years old. Paired with the engine is an automatic 350 transmission, making this Vette a breeze to drive whether you're cruising down the highway or tearing up the back roads. Now let's talk about the overall condition of this Corvette. The seller doesn't provide a ton of details, but they do mention that it has a clean title in hand. This is important because it means you won't have to deal with any headaches when it comes to transferring ownership. One thing to keep in mind is that this Corvette has racked up about 100,000 miles over the years. While this may seem like a lot, it's actually pretty common for a car of this age. Plus, with proper maintenance and care, a well-built machine like this can easily go the distance. The seller doesn't mention anything about the interior or exterior condition, so you'll want to take a closer look and ask some questions before making a decision. However, based on the photos provided, it looks like this Vette has been well maintained and cared for over the years. Now, let's talk price. The seller is asking $11,000 for this 1974 Chevrolet Corvette, which seems like a fair deal considering the overall condition and the fact that it has a clean title. Of course, as with any classic car purchase, you'll want to do your due diligence and have a mechanic check it out before signing on the dotted line. One thing to note is that the seller is firm on the price and isn't interested in any trades. This could be a good thing, as it shows that they're confident in the value of their car and aren't looking to waste anyone's time with lowball offers or complicated trade deals. All in all, this 1974 Chevrolet Corvette seems like a solid classic with plenty of potential. With its powerful 350 V8 engine, automatic transmission, and clean title, it's the kind of car that's sure to turn heads and get your heart racing. If you're in the market for a vintage Vette that's ready to hit the road, this one is definitely worth checking out. 4. We've got a real treat for you. A 1963 Dodge Dart GT convertible that's sure to make your heart skip a beat. First off, can we just take a moment to appreciate the fact that this beauty has only 13,344 miles on the odometer? That's right. This Dart has been meticulously cared for over the years, and it shows in every curve and line of its stunning body. Under the hood, you'll find a 225 straight-six engine that's paired with a manual 3-speed transmission. This combination provides a driving experience that's both thrilling and engaging, letting you feel every bit of the road beneath you as you cruise down the highway or tear up the back roads. The seller mentions that this Dart runs and drives well, which is a testament to the care and attention it's received over the years. And with its excellent condition rating, you can rest assured that this classic has been treated with the utmost respect. Now, let's talk about the real showstopper, the fact that this Dart is a convertible. There's nothing quite like the feeling of the wind in your hair as you cruise down the road in a classic American muscle car, and this Dart delivers that experience in spades. Whether you're taking a leisurely drive on a sunny day or hitting the road for a weekend getaway, this convertible is sure to put a smile on your face. The seller has provided the VIN number and stock number for this Dart, which is always a good sign when you're dealing with a classic car. It shows that they're transparent about the vehicle's history and are willing to provide all the necessary information to potential buyers. One thing to note is that this Dart is being sold by Sierra Classics Imports in Reno, Nevada. If you're not local to the area, you'll want to factor in the cost of transportation when considering this purchase. However, given the rarity and excellent condition of this vehicle, it may be well worth the extra effort to get it home. Now let's talk price. The seller is asking $12,000 for this 1963 Dodge Dart GT convertible, which seems like a fair deal considering its excellent condition, low mileage, and rare convertible status. Of course, as with any classic car purchase, you'll want to do your due diligence and have a mechanic check it out before making a final decision. All in all, this 1963 Dodge Dart GT convertible is a rare find that's sure to turn heads wherever it goes. With its powerful straight-six engine, manual transmission, and stunning convertible body, it's the kind of car that dreams are made of. If you're in the market for a classic American muscle car that's been meticulously cared for over the years, this Dart is definitely worth checking out. 5. We're taking a closer look at a 1985 Oldsmobile Cutlass that's sure to catch your eye and get your heart racing. First off, let's talk about the condition of this beauty. The seller describes it as being in good condition, which is always a promising sign when you're dealing with a car that's almost 40 years old. They also mention that it's in good running condition, which means you won't have to worry about any major mechanical issues right off the bat. Under the hood, you'll find a powerful 8-cylinder engine that's ready to roar to life at a moment's notice. Paired with a smooth shifting automatic transmission and rear-wheel drive, this Cutlass is sure to provide a thrilling driving experience that's both fun and engaging. Now let's talk about some of the recent upgrades this Cutlass has received. The seller mentions that it has a new fuel system, which is a big plus when you're dealing with an older car. This means you won't have to worry about any fuel-related issues or leaks, and you can trust that this Cutlass will start up and run smoothly every time. The seller also notes that this Cutlass has new tires, which is another great feature. New tires not only provide better traction and handling, but they also help to ensure a safer and more comfortable ride overall. One thing that really sets this Cutlass apart is its eye-catching yellow paint color. There's just something about a classic car in a bold, bright hue that makes it stand out from the crowd and turn heads wherever it goes. Whether you're cruising down the highway or parked at a car show, this Cutlass is sure to be the center of attention. The seller also mentions that this Cutlass has a clean title, which is always a good sign when you're buying a used car. It means that there are no major issues or discrepancies with the vehicle's history or ownership, and you can feel confident in your purchase. Now, let's talk about the mileage. This Cutlass has 73,123 miles on the odometer, which may seem like a lot at first glance. However, it's important to remember that this is a classic car, and many vehicles from this era have racked up far more miles over the years. With proper maintenance and care, a well-built machine like this Cutlass can easily go the distance and provide years of driving enjoyment. Finally, let's discuss the price. The seller is asking $8,000 for this 1985 Oldsmobile Cutlass, which seems like a fair deal considering its good condition, recent upgrades, and clean title status. Of course, as with any used car purchase, you'll want to do your due diligence and have a mechanic check it out before making a final decision. All in all, this 1985 Oldsmobile Cutlass is a classic beauty that's sure to provide plenty of driving fun and excitement. With its powerful 8-cylinder engine, smooth automatic transmission, and eye-catching yellow paint color, it's the kind of car that's sure to put a smile on your face every time you get behind the wheel. If you're in the market for a vintage American coupe that's been well-maintained and cared for over the years, this Cutlass is definitely worth checking out. 6. We've got a real gem on our hands. A 1959 Ford Fairlane that's just begging to be taken out on the open road. First things first, let's talk about the overall condition of this beauty. The seller describes it as being in good condition, which is always a promising sign when you're dealing with a car that's over 60 years old. They also mention that it runs, drives, and stops, which means you won't have to worry about any major mechanical issues right off the bat. Under the hood, you'll find a beefy 352 cubic inch V8 engine that's paired with a 3-speed manual transmission with overdrive. This combination provides a driving experience that's both thrilling and engaging, letting you feel every bit of the road beneath you as you shift through the gears. Now, let's talk about some of the recent upgrades this Fairlane has received. The seller mentions that it has new tires, a new battery, a new fuel tank, a new fuel pump, and new door cards. These are all great features that help to ensure a safer, more reliable, and more comfortable ride overall. One thing to note is that the seller does mention some rust in the rockers and trunk area. While this is a common issue with classic cars of this era, it's definitely something to keep in mind if you're planning on using this Fairlane as a daily driver or show car. However, if you're looking for a fun weekend cruiser or a project car to work on, a little rust isn't necessarily a deal breaker. The seller also notes that this Fairlane is fun to drive, which is always a big plus when you're looking for a classic car. There's just something about getting behind the wheel of a vintage machine like this that puts a smile on your face and makes you feel like you're part of automotive history. Now let's talk about the odometer reading. This Fairlane has 93,000 miles on the clock, which may seem like a lot at first glance. However, it's important to remember that this is a classic car, and many vehicles from this era have racked up far more miles over the years. With proper maintenance and care, a well-built machine like this Fairlane can easily go the distance and provide years of driving enjoyment. The seller also mentions that this Fairlane has a clean title, which is always a good sign when you're buying a used car. It means that there are no major issues or discrepancies with the vehicle's history or ownership, and you can feel confident in your purchase. Finally, let's discuss the price. The seller is asking $7,500 for this 1959 Ford Fairlane, which seems like a fair deal considering its overall condition, recent upgrades, and the fact that it's a sought-after classic. Of course, as with any used car purchase, you'll want to do your due diligence and have a mechanic check it out before making a final decision. All in all, this 1959 Ford Fairlane is a classic beauty that's sure to provide plenty of driving fun and excitement. With its powerful V8 engine, manual transmission with overdrive, and recent upgrades, it's the kind of car that's sure to put a smile on your face every time you get behind the wheel. If you're in the market for a vintage American sedan that's been well maintained and cared for over the years, this Fairlane is definitely worth checking out. 7. We've got a real treat for you. A 1985 Ford Thunderbird that's sure to take your breath away. First off, can we just take a moment to appreciate the incredibly low mileage on this beauty? With only 40,121 miles on the odometer, this Thunderbird is practically a time capsule on wheels. It's clear that the previous owner took great care of this car, and it shows in every detail. The seller describes the condition of this Thunderbird as excellent. And based on the photos and description, we have to agree. The classic red finish is absolutely stunning, and the chrome trim adds just the right amount of shine and sophistication. It's the kind of car that's sure to turn heads wherever it goes. Inside, you'll find an immaculate interior with cloth upholstery that looks like it's never been sat in. The original dashboard and trim are in fantastic condition, and everything looks just as it did when this Thunderbird rolled off the assembly line back in 1985. Under the hood, there's a smooth-running V8 engine that provides plenty of power and a refined driving experience. Paired with an automatic transmission, this Thunderbird is the perfect car for cruising down the highway or taking a leisurely drive through the countryside. The seller also mentions that this Thunderbird comes with a host of features including air conditioning, power windows, and an AM/FM stereo with a cassette player. These amenities may seem basic by today's standards, but they were cutting edge back in the mid-80s and add to the overall charm of this classic car. It's also worth noting that this Thunderbird has been recently serviced, with a brake job and a new battery installed. This means that you won't have to worry about any immediate maintenance issues and can simply enjoy driving this vintage beauty. Now, let's talk about the price. The seller is asking $7,500 for this 1985 Ford Thunderbird, which may seem like a lot at first glance. However, when you consider the incredibly low mileage, excellent condition, and recent maintenance, it's actually a pretty fair deal. Plus, you're not just buying a car, you're investing in a piece of automotive history that's sure to appreciate in value over time. Whether you're a collector looking to add to your garage or an enthusiast in search of a reliable classic car, this 1985 Ford Thunderbird is definitely worth considering. It's the kind of car that promises an enjoyable driving experience and is sure to bring a smile to your face every time you get behind the wheel. In conclusion, if you're in the market for a vintage American coupe that's been meticulously cared for and maintained over the years, this 1985 Ford Thunderbird is a top contender. With its stunning red finish, immaculate interior, smooth-running V8 engine, and host of features, it's the kind of car that dreams are made of. So why wait? Head on over to Craigslist and check out this classic beauty for yourself. 8. We've got a real diamond in the rough. A 1966 Chevrolet Chevelle wagon that's just waiting for the right person to bring it back to its former glory. Now, I know what you might be thinking. A wagon? Really? But hear me out. This Chevelle has all the makings of a truly special project car. The seller mentions that it has solid floors and rockers, which is a huge plus when you're dealing with a classic car. Nobody wants to deal with a rusty mess, am I right? The seller also notes that the firewall is clean and all the glass is there. That means you won't have to go hunting for hard-to-find parts or spend a fortune on replacements. And get this, the tailgate opens and closes, and the electric window goes up and down. It's the little things that count, folks. Inside, the dash is clean and the steering column functions properly. The seller has even gone the extra mile and installed a new blower motor, heater core, and heater box, as well as new heater controls and cables. That means you'll be riding in comfort, even on those chilly morning drives. Now, I know some of you might be disappointed to hear that there's no engine or transmission included. But think of it this way. That means you have the freedom to choose your own power plant and make this Chevelle truly your own. Plus, the seller mentions that they have a 4L80E transmission and G-Force crossmember available for an extra cost, so you've got options. The seller also notes that the odometer has rolled over, which means the actual mileage is unknown. But honestly, with a project car like this, the mileage isn't really the most important thing. What matters is the potential. And this Chevelle has it in spades. One thing that really sets this Chevelle apart is the fact that it comes with a clean title and is already registered. That means you won't have to jump through any hoops or deal with any paperwork headaches when you're ready to hit the road. And here's the kicker. If you meet the asking price or get close to it, the seller will even throw in an American Auto Wire kit. That's a huge value add and will make the wiring process a breeze. Now, let's talk price. The seller is asking $7,500 or best offer for this 1966 Chevrolet Chevelle wagon. Considering the solid foundation, clean title, and included extras, that seems like a pretty fair deal to me. Of course, as with any project car, you'll want to do your due diligence and inspect it thoroughly before making an offer. But if you're looking for a classic car project that's got tons of potential and won't break the bank, this Chevelle is definitely worth checking out. Imagine cruising down the street in this beauty, turning heads and sparking conversations wherever you go. It's the kind of car that dreams are made of, folks. So, what are you waiting for? Head on over to Craigslist and take a closer look at this 1966 Chevrolet Chevelle wagon. With a little elbow grease and some TLC, this classic could be the pride and joy of your garage. 9. We've got a real blast from the past, a 1974 Ford Mustang II that's sure to take you on a nostalgic ride down memory lane. First off, can we just take a moment to appreciate the absolutely stunning turquoise color of this beauty? It's the kind of hue that just screams vintage cool and is sure to turn heads wherever you go. The seller mentions that the paint is all original, and while it may be fading a bit, a good high-speed buff should bring back its former glory. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, a 4-cylinder Mustang? Really? But don't let that fool you. This 2.3-liter engine has got some serious potential, and paired with the manual transmission, it's sure to provide a driving experience that's both fun and engaging. The seller notes that there are no issues with the transmission or clutch, and it shifts perfectly as it should. One of the things that really sets this Mustang II apart is just how original and clean it is. The interior features the original Ford pony seats and even has the iconic shag carpet that was all the rage back in the 70s. It's like stepping into a time machine, folks. The seller does mention a few minor issues, like a slightly bent antenna, thanks to some jealous neighbors, and a few dings on the outside. But overall, the body is straight, and there are no visible signs of stress or damage. It's honestly surprising that this car has a salvage title, given how clean and original it appears to be. But here's the real kicker. This Mustang II has been given some serious love and attention in recent years. It's got new brakes, new struts, and new shocks, which means it's ready to hit the road and provide a smooth, comfortable ride. The seller also mentions that they bought this car from the original owner, a lady who had kept it in her garage for over a decade due to her age. It's always a good sign when a car has had minimal owners and has been well cared for over the years. Now let's talk price. The seller is asking $6,500 for this 1974 Ford Mustang II, which may seem a bit steep at first glance. However, when you consider the originality, cleanliness, and recent upgrades, it's actually a pretty fair deal. Plus, the seller has the title in hand and current tags, which means you won't have to deal with any paperwork headaches. Of course, as with any classic car purchase, you'll want to do your due diligence and inspect the car thoroughly before making an offer. But if you're in the market for a vintage Mustang that's got plenty of character and charm, This 1974 Mustang II is definitely worth checking out. Imagine cruising down the street in this turquoise beauty, windows down, and the sound of that 2.3-liter engine purring. It's the kind of experience that every classic car enthusiast dreams of, and with this Mustang II, it could be your reality. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to Craigslist and take a closer look at this 1974 Ford Mustang II. With its original features, recent upgrades, and undeniable cool factor, it's the kind of car that's sure to bring a smile to your face every time you get behind the wheel. 10. We've got a real treat for you, a stunning 1970 Lincoln Continental Mark III that's sure to take your breath away. First off, can we just take a moment to appreciate the absolute beauty of this iconic classic? The sleek black exterior is the epitome of sophistication and style, and the striking red interior is sure to turn heads wherever you go. It's the kind of car that just oozes class and refinement. But this Lincoln isn't just a pretty face. It's been meticulously maintained and is in excellent condition throughout. The seller mentions that they've had the steel wheels powder-coated to give it a clean, modern look, and the original hubcaps are included as well. It's the perfect blend of vintage charm and contemporary style. Under the hood, this Lincoln is powered by a smooth-running 8-cylinder engine that's sure to provide plenty of power and performance. The seller notes that they've redone the fuel system, so you can expect this beauty to run like a dream. And with the automatic transmission, cruising down the highway has never been easier or more enjoyable. One of the things that really sets this Lincoln apart is its overall condition. The seller describes it as being in excellent shape, which is a testament to the care and attention it's received over the years. It's clear that this car has been loved and cherished, and it shows in every detail. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but what about the mileage? And it's true, this Lincoln has racked up 125,000 miles over the years, but let's be real. For a car that's over 50 years old, that's actually pretty impressive. And with proper maintenance and care, there's no reason why this beauty can't continue to run strong for many more years to come. Of course, a car like this isn't just meant to be driven, it's meant to be admired and appreciated. The seller mentions that it's perfect for collectors or anyone looking to own a piece of automotive history, and I couldn't agree more. This Lincoln is a true classic in every sense of the word, and it's sure to be the pride and joy of any collection. Now let's talk price. The seller is asking $10,000 or best offer for this 1970 Lincoln Continental Mark III, which may seem like a lot at first glance. But when you consider the rarity, condition, and overall desirability of this car, it's actually a pretty fair deal. Plus, the seller notes that they don't need help selling it and are only accepting cash, which shows that they're confident in the value of this classic beauty. Of course, as with any classic car purchase, you'll want to do your due diligence and inspect the car thoroughly before making an offer. But if you're in the market for a vintage luxury car that's got plenty of style, sophistication, and performance, this 1970 Lincoln Continental Mark III is definitely worth checking out. Imagine rolling up to your next car show or event in this stunning black beauty, the red interior gleaming in the sun. It's the kind of car that commands attention and respect, and it's sure to be the talk of the town wherever you go. So what are you waiting for? Contact the seller today and schedule a viewing of this incredible 1970 Lincoln Continental Mark III. With its iconic style, excellent condition, and undeniable charm, it's the kind of car that dreams are made of. Don't miss your chance to own a piece of automotive history. 11. We're taking a closer look at a 1976 Lincoln Mark IV Cartier edition that's got a lot of potential but also needs a bit of TLC. First off, let's talk about what this car has going for it. It's a fully loaded Cartier edition, which means it's got all the bells and whistles you'd expect from a top-of-the-line luxury car from the 70s. And under the hood, there's a massive 460 big block engine that's sure to provide plenty of power and performance. The seller has also made some recent upgrades to this Lincoln, including new tires, a new fuel tank and lines, and all new brakes. These are all important components that can be costly to replace, so it's great to see that they've already been taken care of. However, it's important to note that the seller describes the overall condition of this car as fair. They mention that the body and vinyl top need some attention, which suggests that there may be some cosmetic issues to address, but they also note that it's a very solid car, which is a good sign. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but what about the rust? It's a 70s car after all. And it's true, rust can be a common issue with classic cars of this era. But the seller doesn't mention any specific rust issues, so it's hard to say for sure without seeing the car in person. One thing that's important to keep in mind with a car like this is that it's not going to be perfect. It's over 45 years old after all, and it's going to have some wear and tear. But that's part of the charm of owning a classic car. It's got character and history, and it's up to you to bring it back to its former glory. The seller also notes that this Lincoln comes with a clean, clear Texas title, which is always a good sign. You won't have to worry about any paperwork headaches or legal issues down the line. Now, let's talk about the price. The seller is asking $4,000 for this 1976 Lincoln Mark IV Cartier edition, which may seem like a bargain for a fully loaded classic luxury car. However, it's important to keep in mind that this car is going to need some work, and those costs can add up quickly. If you're handy with tools and have experience working on classic cars, then this could be a great project to take on. You could slowly restore this Lincoln to its former glory, fixing up the body and vinyl top, and maybe even giving it a fresh coat of paint. But if you're looking for a turnkey classic that's ready to hit the road right away, then this may not be the car for you. It's going to need some love and attention to get it back to its best. Overall, this 1976 Lincoln Mark IV Cartier edition is a classic car with a lot of potential, but it's not without its flaws. If you're up for a project and have the time and resources to invest in it, then this could be a great opportunity to own a piece of automotive history. But if you're looking for a car that's ready to go from day one, then you may want to keep looking. Regardless of whether this particular Lincoln is the right fit for you, there's no denying the appeal of classic luxury cars like this. They've got style, character, and a certain je ne sais quoi that you just can't find in modern cars. So if you're a fan of vintage rides, then keep an eye out for more gems like this one on Craigslist and beyond. 12. We've got a real blast from the past, a 1977 Ford Pinto runabout that's sure to bring back some memories. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. A Pinto? Really? But hear me out. This isn't just any old Pinto. This is a 100% original, unmolested example of a classic American compact car that's got a lot of potential. First off, let's talk about what makes this Pinto so special. It's got the original 2.3-liter engine and a 4-speed manual transmission, which means it's got plenty of pep and is a blast to drive. And with recent upgrades like new brakes, lines, and a master cylinder all the way around, as well as new tires and rear air shocks, this Pinto is ready to hit the road. But that's not all. The seller has also completely serviced this car with a new water pump, fuel pump, and even a new gas tank with lines and sending unit. This means that you won't have to worry about any major mechanical issues right off the bat. Now, I know some of you might be concerned about rust, which can be a common issue with classic cars like this. But the seller assures us that there is absolutely no major rust on this Pinto, just a few surface spots that need repair. And overall, the car is described as being as clean as you can get without a full restoration. One thing that really sets this Pinto apart is its potential for customization. The seller mentions that it's ready to be hot-rodded, which means you could take this classic compact and turn it into a real head-turner. Imagine dropping in a bigger engine, upgrading the suspension, and giving it a custom paint job. The possibilities are endless. Of course, if you're more of a purist, you could also keep this Pinto as is and enjoy it as a fun, reliable runabout car. It's the perfect vehicle for running errands around town or taking on weekend adventures. Now let's talk about the price. The seller is asking $5,500 for this 1977 Ford Pinto runabout, which may seem a bit steep for a compact car from the 70s. But when you consider the overall condition, recent upgrades, and potential for customization, it's actually a pretty fair deal. Plus, the seller notes that this Pinto comes with a clean, clear title in hand, which means you won't have to worry about any paperwork headaches or legal issues down the line. Of course, as with any classic car purchase, you'll want to do your due diligence and inspect the car thoroughly before making an offer. But if you're in the market for a fun, unique, compact car that's got plenty of potential, this 1977 Ford Pinto runabout is definitely worth checking out. Imagine cruising down the street in this bright red beauty. turning heads and sparking conversations wherever you go. It's the kind of car that's sure to put a smile on your face every time you get behind the wheel. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to Craigslist and take a closer look at this 1977 Ford Pinto runabout. With its original features, recent upgrades, and potential for customization, it's the kind of car that's sure to be a blast to own and drive. Don't miss your chance to own a piece of American automotive history. 13. We've got a real gem on our hands. A 1962 Ford Thunderbird that's sure to make your heart skip a beat. First off, let's talk about what makes this T-Bird so special. It's a 100% original numbers-matching car, which means that everything from the engine to the transmission is just as it was when it rolled off the factory floor. That's a rare find in the world of classic cars. And it's a testament to the care and dedication of the previous owners. Under the hood, you'll find a powerful 390 cubic inch V8 engine that's paired with an automatic transmission. This combination provides a smooth, effortless driving experience that's sure to put a smile on your face. And with recent upgrades like new tires, a new fuel pump, carburetor, water pump, master cylinder, brakes, and shocks, this T-Bird is ready to hit the road with confidence. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but what about rust? It's a common issue with classic cars. Well, I've got some great news for you. The seller assures us that there is absolutely no rust on this Thunderbird whatsoever. That's right, this baby is as solid as they come. The only body damage noted is a dented passenger rocker panel, which is a relatively minor issue that could be easily fixed if desired. But overall, the car is described as being very clean for its age, which is a testament to the care it's received over the years. One thing to note is that the seats do need new upholstery and currently have covers on them. But honestly, that's a small price to pay for a car that's in such great shape overall. And who knows, maybe you'll want to customize the interior to your own tastes anyway. Now, let's talk about how this car drives. The seller mentions that it's running and driving great, which I assume means great. And with all the recent upgrades and maintenance, you can bet that this T-Bird is a joy to take out on the open road. Imagine cruising down the highway with the windows down, the wind in your hair, and the sound of that 390 V8 rumbling beneath you. It's the stuff that dreams are made of. Of course, a car like this isn't just meant to be driven, it's meant to be shown off and admired. And with its classic white paint job and sleek lines, this 1962 Thunderbird is sure to turn heads wherever it goes. It's the kind of car that people will stop and stare at, and you'll be the lucky one behind the wheel. So what's the bottom line? If you're in the market for a classic American luxury car that's got style, power, and a whole lot of character, this 1962 Ford Thunderbird is definitely worth checking out. With its original numbers-matching components, recent upgrades, and overall clean condition, it's a rare find that's sure to make any classic car enthusiast weak in the knees. The seller is asking $12,500 for this beauty, which may seem like a lot at first glance, but when you consider the rarity, condition, and desirability of this car, it's actually a pretty fair price. And with a clean title in hand, you can be sure that you're getting a car with a clear history and no hidden issues. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to Craigslist and take a closer look at this 1962 Ford Thunderbird. With its timeless style, impressive performance, and undeniable charm, it's the kind of car that dreams are made of. Don't miss your chance to own a piece of American automotive history. 14. We've got a real beauty on our hands, a 1965 Chrysler 300 that's sure to take your breath away. First off, let's talk about what makes this car so special. Under the hood, you'll find a massive 413 cubic inch big block V8 engine that's paired with an automatic transmission. This combination provides a smooth, powerful driving experience that's sure to put a smile on your face every time you get behind the wheel. But the real star of the show here is the overall condition of this Chrysler 300. The seller describes it as being in excellent condition both inside and out, and based on the photos, I have to agree. The exterior is absolutely stunning, with a beautiful glossy finish that's sure to turn heads wherever you go, and the interior is equally impressive, with a level of quality and craftsmanship that you just don't see in modern cars. One of the things that really sets this Chrysler apart is the fact that it's an all-original AC car. That means that it's got factory air conditioning, which is a rare find in a classic car of this era. And let me tell you, There's nothing quite like cruising down the highway on a hot summer day with the AC blowing cool and the windows down. The seller also mentions that this car runs and drives great, which is always a good sign. And with less than 300 miles on the tires, you can be sure that it's ready to hit the road with confidence. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but what about the mileage? 78,000 is a lot for a classic car. And while it's true that this Chrysler has seen some miles over the years, it's important to remember that cars of this era were built to last. With proper maintenance and care, a well-built machine like this can easily go the distance and provide years of driving enjoyment. Of course, a car like this isn't just meant to be driven. It's meant to be shown off and admired. And with its stunning good looks and impressive performance, this 1965 Chrysler 300 is sure to be the star of any car show or cruise-in. Imagine rolling up to the event in this beauty, watching as heads turn and jaws drop. It's the kind of experience that every classic car enthusiast dreams of. So, what's the bottom line? If you're in the market for a classic American luxury car that's got style, power, and a whole lot of character, this 1965 Chrysler 300 is definitely worth checking out. With its original 413 big block V8, factory AC, and excellent overall condition, it's a rare find that's sure to make any car lover weak in the knees. The seller is asking $11,500 or best offer for this beauty, which may seem like a lot at first glance. But when you consider the rarity, condition, and desirability of this car, it's actually a pretty fair price. And with a clean title in hand, you can be sure that you're getting a car with a clear history and no hidden issues. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to Craigslist and take a closer look at this 1965 Chrysler 300. With its timeless style, impressive performance, and undeniable charm, it's the kind of car that dreams are made of. Don't miss your chance to own a piece of American automotive history. 15. We've got a real gem on our hands. A 1970 Cadillac DeVille that's been lovingly cared for by a single family for over 50 years. First off, let's talk about the history of this beautiful caddy. The seller mentions that it was bought new by their father way back in 1969, which means that it's been in the same family for its entire life. That's the kind of provenance that classic car collectors dream of. And it's a testament to the love and care that this DeVille has received over the years. But the real proof is in the pudding, as they say, and this Cadillac definitely delivers. The seller describes it as being in excellent condition, with a very clean body that still sports its original paint and interior. That's right, this beauty has never been resprayed or reupholstered, which is a rare find in a car of this age. Under the hood, you'll find a rebuilt 472 cubic inch V8 engine that's ready to rumble. This massive power plant provides the kind of smooth, effortless performance that Cadillac is known for, and it's sure to put a smile on your face every time you hit the gas. And with new tires all around, you can be sure that this DeVille is ready to hit the road with confidence. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but what about rust? It's a common issue with classic cars. Well, I've got some good news for you. The seller mentions that there are only a few small rust bubbles on the vinyl top below the rear window. That's it. For a car that's over 50 years old, that's practically a miracle. Of course, it's worth noting that the odometer has rolled over, which means that the actual mileage is unknown. But given the overall condition of this Cadillac and the fact that it's been garaged its entire life, I wouldn't be too worried about that. These cars were built to last, and with proper maintenance and care, they can easily go the distance. One thing that really sets this DeVille apart is its stunning green paint job. It's a color that you just don't see very often on classic cars, and it's sure to turn heads wherever you go. Imagine rolling up to a car show or cruise in this beauty. You'll be the talk of the town. Inside, you'll find an interior that's just as impressive as the exterior. The original upholstery is in great shape, with no rips, tears, or stains to speak of. And with all that room to stretch out, you'll feel like you're riding in the lap of luxury every time you get behind the wheel. So what's the bottom line? If you're in the market for a classic American luxury car that's been cherished by a single family for over half a century, this 1970 Cadillac DeVille is definitely worth checking out. With its rebuilt engine, new tires, and overall excellent condition, it's a rare find that's sure to make any car lover weak in the knees. The seller is asking $6,000 for this beauty, which may seem like a bargain for a car of this caliber. But as with any classic car purchase, it's important to do your due diligence and have a mechanic check it out before making a final decision. That being said, if everything checks out, you could be the proud new owner of a stunning piece of American automotive history. And with a clean title in hand, you can be sure that you're getting a car with a clear history and no hidden issues. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to Craigslist and take a closer look at this 1970 Cadillac DeVille. With its timeless style, impressive performance, and undeniable charm, it's the kind of car that dreams are made of. Don't miss your chance to own a piece of classic car royalty. 16. We've got a real unicorn on our hands. A 1978 Ford Thunderbird Diamond Jubilee Edition that's sure to make your jaw drop. First off, let's talk about just how rare this car is. According to the Marty report, only 564 of these special edition T-Birds were ever produced. That means that you're not just buying a classic car. You're investing in a piece of automotive history that's sure to turn heads wherever you go. But what really sets this Thunderbird apart is its incredible condition. With only 37,000 miles on the odometer, it's clear that this car has been cherished and well-maintained throughout its life. The seller mentions that the mileage was represented as actual, but due to the car's age, the title will show as exempt. But let's be real. With a car this special, the mileage is just a number. Now, let's talk about the features. This Thunderbird is loaded with all the bells and whistles you'd expect from a top-of-the-line model. It's got full power everything, including a 6-way power seat, cold air conditioning, and even a power antenna. And if you're a fan of classic style, you'll love the yards of thick, luxurious shag carpeting throughout the interior. It's like stepping into a time machine. Under the hood, you'll find a beefy 351 Cleveland V8 engine that's paired with an automatic transmission. This combination provides the kind of smooth, effortless performance that's perfect for cruising down the highway. And speaking of cruising, the seller mentions that this T-Bird floats down the road, a testament to the incredible ride quality that these cars are known for. But the real showstopper here is the exterior. This Thunderbird is finished in a stunning pastel beige color that's accented by Ember Volino color-keyed turbine wheels, side and bumper moldings, grille, and top. It's a color combination that's sure to stand out from the crowd and turn heads wherever you go. Of course, a car this special doesn't come cheap. The seller is asking $14,400 plus tax, title, and license for this rare beauty. But when you consider that the base price for a Thunderbird back in 1978 was around $6,000, and the Diamond Jubilee Edition nearly doubled that to $12,000 MSRP, it's clear that this car is a true collector's item. The seller also mentions that they accept credit cards and don't charge any inventory or document fees, a refreshing change from some of the other dealerships out there. And with 100% positive feedback on eBay and 32 years in the same location, you can be sure that you're dealing with a reputable seller who stands behind their cars. So, what's the bottom line? If you're in the market for a rare, well-maintained classic car that's sure to turn heads and start conversations, this 1978 Ford Thunderbird Diamond Jubilee Edition is definitely worth checking out. With its incredible condition, loaded features, and stunning color combination, it's the kind of car that dreams are made of. But don't just take my word for it. Head on over to Craigslist and take a closer look at this beauty for yourself. And if you're lucky enough to make it yours, be prepared for a lifetime of cruising in style and luxury. 17. We've got a real gem on our hands. A beautiful 1980 Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme that's sure to turn heads and get your heart racing. First off, let's talk about the history of this Cutlass. The seller mentions that it's a one-owner car, which is always a good sign when you're looking at a classic. It means that this beauty has been cherished and well-maintained throughout its life, and it shows in every detail. Under the hood, you'll find a strong V6 engine that's ready to rumble. The seller notes that it has minimal wear and tear, which is impressive for a car that's over 40 years old. And with 132,432 miles on the odometer, it's clear that this Cutlass has been enjoyed, but not abused. Now let's talk about the styling. This Cutlass is a real head-turner, with its sleek lines and classic proportions. The yellow paint is absolutely stunning, and it's sure to stand out from the crowd wherever you go. And while the seller has added some aftermarket 14x7 wire wheels, they still have the original rally wheels if you prefer a more stock look. Inside, you'll find an interior that's just as clean and well-maintained as the exterior. The seller doesn't go into too much detail, but based on the photos, it looks like the upholstery and dash are in great shape. And with all the classic Cutlass features like the split bench seat and the iconic dashboard, you'll feel like you're stepping back in time every time you get behind the wheel. But this Cutlass isn't just a pretty face. It's also got the paperwork to back it up. The seller mentions that it has a clean California title and is smogged and ready for a new owner. That means you won't have to jump through any hoops or deal with any red tape when you're ready to hit the road. Now I know some of you might be thinking, but what about the price? And it's true, $6,500 is a lot of money for a classic car. But when you consider the overall condition, the one-owner history, and the potential for this Cutlass to be either a great cruiser or a killer lowrider project, it starts to look like a pretty good deal. Of course, the seller does mention that the price is negotiable without the aftermarket wheels. So if you're not a fan of the wire look, you might be able to score this beauty for a bit less. Overall, if you're in the market for a classic Oldsmobile that's got style, history, and potential in spades, this 1980 Cutlass Supreme is definitely worth checking out. With its strong V6 engine, stunning yellow paint, and clean California title, it's the kind of car that you'll be proud to show off at any car show or cruise night. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to Craigslist and take a closer look at this one-owner beauty. And if you're lucky enough to make it yours, get ready for a lifetime of cruising in classic style. 18. We've got a real treat for you. A 1965 Dodge Custom 880 convertible that's up for grabs on Craigslist for just $10,500. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Is this thing even worth it? Well, let's dive in and find out. First off, let's address the elephant in the room. This Dodge has seen better days. The seller admits that it's been sitting in outdoor storage for nearly 2 decades, and it shows. The top is shot, and the interior needs some serious TLC. But hey, that's the beauty of a project car, right? Despite its rough appearance, this custom 880 has got some serious potential. It's a Mopar after all. The seller has already put in some work to get it running with a new water pump, fresh oil and filter, and a rebuilt carburetor. The brake fluid has been flushed and there's a new fuel tank and sending unit. Sure, the gas gauge doesn't work, but who needs that when you've got a classic like this? Now, let's talk about the features. This Dodge is loaded with power steering, power brakes, dual exhaust, and even factory AC. It's got some seriously cool spinner hubcaps, a tonneau cover, and an AM radio, although it doesn't work. The split bench seat is a nice touch, and the RWL tires give it that classic look. Of course, there are some issues to be aware of. The speedometer and odometer are kaput and the rear quarter windows don't work. The power top works, but it leaks like a sieve. And let's not forget about the tires, those definitely need to be replaced. But here's the thing, this Dodge has got a story to tell. It was purchased by the second owner way back in the late 70s at Bill Breck Dodge in Tucson, Arizona. And get this, he traded it in years later only to buy it back for his son from the same dealer. That's the kind of history that you just can't fake. So is this 1965 Dodge Custom 880 worth the $10,500 asking price? That's up to you to decide. But if you're looking for a classic Mopar with a ton of potential and a whole lot of character, this might just be the one for you. Just be prepared to put in some serious elbow grease to get it back to its former glory. 19. We've got a real treat for you. A 1982 Chevrolet Chevette that's sure to turn heads and get people talking. Now, I know what you might be thinking. A Chevette? Really? But trust me, this isn't your average economy car from the 80s. First off, let's talk about the elephant in the room. This Chevette is a diesel. That's right, under the hood is an oil burner that's ready to sip fuel and deliver some seriously impressive MPG. And with a manual transmission, you'll have full control over this unique power plant. The seller claims the odometer shows just 54,000 miles, which is pretty low for a car that's over 40 years old. If that's accurate, then this Chevette has a lot of life left in it. The ad also mentions that it runs and drives great, so you shouldn't have to worry about any major mechanical issues. Now, I do want to be upfront with you. The seller didn't provide a ton of details about the overall condition of the car. There are no photos of the interior or undercarriage, so it's hard to say if there are any hidden issues or rust spots. As with any classic car, it's important to do your due diligence and inspect it thoroughly before making a purchase. But here's where things get really interesting. The seller is asking $9,975 for this diesel Chevette. That's a pretty penny for a car that's not exactly known for its collectability or desirability. However, the ad does mention that this is a rare find, and the stack of paperwork suggests that it might have a unique history or provenance. At the end of the day, whether or not this Chevette is worth the asking price is up to you. If you're looking for a quirky, fuel-efficient classic that's sure to start conversations at the gas station, then this might be the car for you. Just be sure to do your research and go in with your eyes open. 20. We've got a real blast from the past. A 1954 Cadillac that's sure to make you feel like you're cruising down Route 66 in style. This classic beauty is a true testament to the golden age of American automotive design. Under the hood, you'll find a 331 V8 engine that's ready to rumble. With 52,500 original miles on the odometer, this Caddy has been around the block a few times, but the seller assures us that it runs and drives excellently. The 4-speed automatic transmission should make for a smooth and effortless driving experience. Now, let's talk about the condition of this classic. The seller describes it as very nice, and from the limited information provided, it seems to be in good shape. The interior is said to be nice, and the tires are like new. However, it's important to note that the seller didn't provide any photos of the undercarriage or mention anything about rust or other potential issues. As with any classic car, a thorough inspection is always recommended before making a purchase. One thing that caught my eye in the ad is that the seller mentions a new battery and fuel tank. This suggests that some recent maintenance has been done to keep this Caddy running strong. It's always a good sign when a seller is invested in the car's upkeep. Aesthetically, this 1954 Cadillac is a real head-turner. The brown paint job might not be everyone's cup of tea, but it's a classic color that suits the car's vintage style. And let's be honest, with those iconic tail fins and chrome accents, this Caddy is going to look good in just about any color. Now let's talk price. The seller is asking $11,000 firm for this classic ride. While that might seem steep for a 67-year-old car, it's actually not too far off from what similar Cadillacs from this era are going for. Of course, the value of any classic car is ultimately determined by its condition, rarity, and desirability. So it's up to you to decide if this one is worth the asking price. Overall, if you're in the market for a vintage Cadillac that's ready to hit the road, this 1954 model might be worth a closer look. Just be sure to do your due diligence and inspect it thoroughly before making any decisions.